Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final part of my speedrunning tutorial for Papo on the PC. Today we're going to be covering Acts 4 and 5. Although before we do that, I realized that even though I showed off the monster boost, I did not show off the normal strategy for a builder of bridges, which I will do right now, just to sort of show you where you should stand, etc. So, yeah, let's go with that, and then we'll transition right into Act 4. It's the very next map, so this will be the final part of my speedrunning tutorial. I hope that all of you who are intent on learning this game will find this useful. And of course I'm streaming this live, so anyone who is currently in the chat is free to ask questions about what I'm doing. So here, I already showed off Monster Boost, but this is the proper way, so to speak. You want to stand sort of like 4 or 5 steps away, so that the frog always sort of hops around here, and then you just mash your use key to make sure you pick it up at the right time. This is one of the best ways to best reasons to use scroll up, because those frogs bounce away very quickly. Although once you get to the third frog, you want to hold on to it for a while, and make sure you find a wall that's relatively in front of you when you're moving a straight line, so you don't diverge as much. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have to kill it anyway, but generally I use one of the sides of the buildings here, just sort of to get it out of the way. Oh, that was very close. You probably want to do it earlier than that, because you almost ate that frog. So then you jump across here. These jumps are devious, surprisingly devious. You want to sort of, when you're hitting across here, not only is there a stutter, but you want to make sure you're sort of like up here, because sometimes you can fall down if your jump is here. The collision detection is a bit off when it comes to here, so you want to make sure that by the time you get to the third platform, you want to move over to the side before you cross the bridge here. And now we're officially going to be starting on Act 4. You can do a little E-jump to get it. You want to hold W going into this cutscene so that you start running towards the coconut. And the very first thing you want to do once you get into here is grab the coconut and carry it with you into this cutscene. This part is absolutely essential, because when you start out, you are going to be carrying this cutscene, even though carrying this coconut, even though it will disappear. You will technically have the coconut with you at all times, and this means that once Alejandra teleports you back to the starting position, you will have the coconut in your hands, and monster will spawn right next to you. You won't have to chase him down, and that saves about a good 20-30 seconds depending on luck. So yeah, even though the coconut has disappeared during this cutscene, you are technically still carrying it, and it will spawn back in your hands once you finish. And monster will still always react as if you already have a coconut in your hands constantly. Also, on an unrelated note, my tool-assisted speedrun of Metal Gear Solid VR missions got published on Task Videos, and apparently it has already been nominated for PSX Task of the Year for 2014. That was quick. Anyway, so yeah, as I mentioned before, you have the coconut during this entire cutscene, and then so once you have it here, you're going to run forward from where the camera points you here. Now I have to pause because this part is a little bit timed. The objective here is that you want to get monster trapped into the corner so they can push him into the pit without having to get any of the coconuts knocked off of the tree. This way is faster here in order to get to the coconut. Go over here. This strategy is possible with only 3 coconuts, but with only 2 coconuts, but I always use 3 as a safety measure. So what you want to do here is go over here, throw it right where the next coconut is, throw it again, and then take this third one and throw it all the way to the corner as a safety measure. Only wastes about 2 seconds, and it guarantees that you don't have to lose a minute. You jump early on that tree, and as I mentioned before, the luck I got here was technically allowed me to do a 2 coconut, but I would suggest going for 3 unless you really find yourself very confident on this, and it only saves a couple seconds. So then you run over here and hit the scissors as usual. Most of this is generally, this map is done as intended. The one major difference, though, is in how you deal with certain elements of luck with Monster. You will see what I mean in a minute. There's also one somewhat random glitch, which will allow you to move Kiko during the cutscene on the second scissors. So you immediately want to go over left here, use an E-jump to get a little bit here. Don't worry if you can't see Monster by the time you hit this switch. He will always follow you regardless. His AI just works that way. Even if you can't see him or his shadow, don't worry about it, because he always knows exactly where you are and he will follow you eventually. So you jump down here, and then there's a random chance that you'll be able to move Kiko during this part. Let's see if I got it. I got it, I think. You don't want to move too much, though, because if you move in the wrong area, generally speaking, I just move during that first cutscene and then I stop once it cuts away to another shot. Because if you move in the wrong area, you'll actually get Kiko stuck in part of the geometry. You'll be able to move, and you'll have to start all the way from the beginning of Act 4 again. If you do get the glitch, it saves about 4 or 5 seconds due to the length of the cutscene. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I got it, which allows me to run a bit forward. You always want to take a minute to move the camera. Now, Monster here is scripted to sort of run around a little bit and run to certain spots before he starts to chase you. So you can take this little shortcut over here and jump over without having any real concern for getting grabbed or not. There's really only one area in this map where we would be really concerned about getting grabbed, and it's this part here. You don't want to make your you don't want to cut too many corners. Because of the way that Monster's speed works, you want to very gently move the mouse or the right stick over, just to make sure, because if you cut across too quickly, then Monster will almost certainly grab you. And here we go, we're already at the third portion of this. As I mentioned before, I am streaming this live, and I will be taking questions from my chat of anyone who has concerns as to how to do certain things, or whether or not I forgot to mention certain parts of the run, which I probably did. This next part always looks really scary, but it's pretty much guaranteed to work every time, and I will explain why in a bit. The way that Monster's AI works, he's pretty much always guaranteed to either charge or roar, and if he roars by the time you get over to the little lip that gets you down onto the staircase, then you're pretty much home free to get up to the staircase to where Lula is to trigger the next cutscene. So Lula revives. Again, you always want to take at least like a half a second to reorient yourself whenever it cuts back to you. Don't worry about the time lost. I mean, it's really not too much. So here, I'm lucky, and I got a roar. Well, actually, no, I got a charge, but I got a charge that was far away. Basically, you just have to sort of play a little bit of chicken with Monster and sort of determine what the hell he's doing. So for this next part, you do not actually have to run up to where Lula is in order to activate her. After about 2 or 3 seconds, Kiko will call out to Lula, and Lula will jump onto your back. So you can take that opportunity to sort of run up to the little wooden ramp of the platforms that are currently being formed right here. So you don't need to worry about running up to Lula at all. Once you hit this cutscene, you just move forward. Once this cutscene ends, you move forward, and then you go up to here. Kiko will call for Lula, and then you can start your journey over to the hardest map in the game, the Pipes map. I've spent quite a bit of time trying to optimize a route on this baby, and I think I've done a halfway decent job. On this one, you just want to jump down. Okay, so here is my strategy for this, which is pretty consistent. You hit the switch, this switch over here, and this one over here in that order, because Lula will have a shorter journey over to where you are. And then you go in this specific order. I spent quite a bit of time trying to get the consistent pipes for this section, and this is what I found. You don't need all 12 pipes, you only need 10 of them. And so you can ignore the 2 that are on the ground. So once you get over to here, you jump, you do that same little sort of weird wiggle jump that you did earlier with Monster Boost on this map, and then you go over to here, you do all of the pipes on this side, and then we're going to cross around and finish off the last 2 that we didn't get earlier I specifically did it in this way just because of the way that the level is designed here. There are certain parts that you're just not able to get properly, and the key is to make sure that you do not hit the ground until after you've gotten all 10 pipes in this area. That is pretty much the most important part, because monster will destroy you if you fall. Although you can use the 2 in the back there if you desperately want to. So for getting these last 2 pipes, you want to go over here. Do not try to make the jump on the other side. You will not make it. That ledge over there is buggy, and half the time it will not register your first jump. So instead you want to go over here, then hit this, and then instead of trying to go over here and get screwed over, you jump on this barrel, you do an E-jump over to where this is, you stay on the red platform, and you hit that. And now this should be the first time that you hit the ground in the entire map, is right here. As a backup, you can use those 2 if you fall. Now, because I took my time, everything here is going to be set up, but generally you'll be waiting for the next few pipes to be resetting themselves. Once you get to the 10 pipes, the game expects you to use 12, but you only need 10. There's the backup pipes if you need them. There's 2 of them there if you fall. You can use those probably as a substitute for the 2 over there, or you could just use 1. The problem with that is that monster will always grab you. There, you use an E-jump, and you sort of go around here into the next map over the Inferno. And hello, a Canadian Colonel who has just showed up in my chat. Another follower. So here you want to actually follow part of the jumping puzzle in order to get the red hat, but you don't want to follow it here. You want to go across this little shortcut, jump down, and that saves about 4 or 5 seconds of having being chased by monster. It's just a shortcut really to get through there. And now the really difficult part is on the way here. There is one particular map which is going to be very annoying for newcomers, and I know it was certainly annoying for me. But not before this little cutscene to get you hyped. You're welcome, Canadian Colonel. So yes, I am still taking questions and answers for those of you who in the chat who think I may have missed something important. I'm trying to be as thorough in my explanation here as possible, just for anyone who wants to run this game, which I really think more people should run this game because it's a great game. And it's short. My record is 1 hour, 10 minutes, 56 seconds, and it could probably be taken down to 109 with enough luck and skill. And who knows, maybe with further sequence breaks we might be able to break sub 1. But that would require some more new crazy sequence breaks. Anyway, as we go through here, you want to go over here, jump down here, hover with Lula a bit so that you're on the other side of monster, and then get the key. Now, once you see the blocks come up, you want to wait about a half a second after they spawn and then start hovering towards them. You want to hover in a sort of a straight line, but not entirely. Like so. So that you can approach the key as soon as it's ready to be turned. That was actually a little close, but anyway. This next part, you can get onto the platform on the first cycle. You have to wait until you hear this audio cue. Listen closely. There. And now, the second part of this, you want to jump on that little platform there. Now, there's a random chance that this will happen when you jump down, that you'll get grabbed. That is the second best outcome. You can, if I hadn't failed to jump there, I would have been able to get out of there in time. That being said, it's still a good outcome. I mean, it's still much faster than having to jump around. I just mistimed the jump there, but either way. So we're almost done with Act 4, and then Act 5, and we'll be done with the game. Act 5 is not particularly strenuous. There are only a couple of maps that are really annoying, and they're towards the beginning and also the final boss, which could be a little strenuous. I found that if you wait about a second or two after this cutscene ends, you have a better chance of monster being lured over to the other side, so that you can sneak by him over here and get into the portal without him grabbing you. Because I have had one run die in the past because monster grabbed you. So while you're in here, you go over here. This switch takes about a second or two to register before you can hit it with Lula. So in this start of Act 5 here, there's a random glitch where if you hold an arrow key, a certain arrow key, you will get stuck in this corner here. Just keep in mind of that. If you don't see Kiko moving, the way to get out of that is just to press jump. If that does happen to you. So the next area is you want to interrupt. You want to make sure, starting from here, you want to take 9 steps forward. And then throw the coconut. And that'll put you in pretty much perfect position to grab the coconut immediately after getting rid of this. Yeah, you want to take like a step forward, and then you can lure a monster immediately over to where you are. You want to make sure that when you're throwing this coconut, it sits about halfway through the cardboard box, so that monster will actually hit the switch. Because I've also had a run die right there in the past because I didn't get monster to hit the switch, and then he went over and lured some other coconut, and the run died right there, and I wasted a minute. I have a split right here. You don't necessarily need to make one, but either way, once the city folds up like this, when you start running down here, this is very important because this one takes a little bit of time normally. When you hold W and D and you hit the switch as you're running down, make sure that's very important because otherwise it takes quite a bit of time to set up. Then you run up this staircase, which for some reason is glitched. It will always zip you up like that. I don't know why. You climb up these 2 ladders here, and then once you've hovered over here, you hit the switch over there while on your way to setting up these these ladders here, and we're almost done with the game. There's just one more map, which I'm not going to cover because it's just this map here. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that you can pretty much immediately sort of pan your camera over to the left and use Lula to hit the bridge. So we're going to skip over this next chapter because there's really no point to it. There are no speed tricks or anything. It's a perfect time to get a break or something, or to get a drink or something. Take a break, get a drink, stretch, whatever. So we're going to go immediately to Fall of Illusion, which is the pre-final boss section. I'll also show off an interesting glitch that you could do in the final boss after this. And I think that for those of you who are in my chat, you know what it is. But anyway, I always like, as long as you just hold W going into here, and you sort of need to manipulate the camera just to make sure that you're always on the inside corner. And then once you get to the top of the staircase, you can sort of do a little dump. You can sort of do a little jump up the top here. The game still considers the staircase moving if you jump, so you can use the momentum there to go over to where the fake shaman is. So when it comes to dealing with the 4 memories here, you can do them in any order you feel is comfortable for you. The one trick is that as soon as you start to see the white line coming around, then you will then that is your key to move on to the next memory. It takes about a second and a half of pulling in order for it to fully register. You have to hit all 4 memories before you go to the final boss. Like so. I usually go to the Lula memory first, but that's personal preference. You can go to them in any order you want. So after about a second, once you start to see the white line, that's a little too early. Once you start seeing the white line there, that is your cue to start running to the other memory. I'll try to do it better this time. 1, 2, like that. Oh no, like there we go. I'm always like a little early. I've never had problems with this before. Stage fright, I guess. Let's see. There we go. That's more like it. As soon as you start to see the white line there, that's your key to move over to the other memory. So on your last memory, you want to move a little bit, but not too much. just enough to get you across to there, and then stop as soon as you see the cutscene there. And then you approach the fire again, and that will trigger the switch for the final boss. The final boss has a couple of interesting tricks to it, which look a lot riskier than they are, although they do have the opportunity to fail horribly if you misuse them. So we're going into the final boss. First area is not particularly hard. It's the second area you're going to have to worry about. Just make sure that you take your time. Make sure you don't really want to cut any corners while going on this bridge because the collision detection is a little iffy. Just make sure you follow it. You won't lose that much time. So you're positioning here. You want to just take one step and throw, and then reposition yourself right underneath where the whiskey will come from. And you only need to move like maybe a step or two forward in order to actually get the whiskey into the bottle or into the pipe. Excuse me. So once you get to your third bottle of whiskey, you're going to move over to where that stone pedestal is on the right, and you're going to stand in front of it because that's where the switch will be to pull Monster over to the second area of the final boss arena. Also, the hitbox is very weird. You can sort of throw it to the side, and as long as the hitbox intersects with the opening, you will be able to put it into the pipe. Just make sure not to overshoot it. So you want to hold left mouse button and D going into this, or S, excuse me. You can move during this cutscene. It's a little risky. You just hold D going into here. I just sort of tap it to make sure I actually know where I'm going. So this next phase of the boss is the hard part of the final boss for two reasons. You want to wait for about a second and a half, put the pipe into position before you start throwing the Alejandro dolls, and then you want to time it so that as soon as Monster has Alejandro in his mouth, then you throw another doll in. That's going to cancel his animation. For his first one, and then you can throw them in one after the other. So once you've got the third in, if I have positioned this right, which I think I have, Alejandro will start running. At that point, you run up here, and you go about halfway down the bridge. You do not want to go any further than this, because if you do, you will get pushed aside by one of the pieces of bridge that is forming, and you will fall and end up right back where the white thing is. So that's about as far on the bridge as you can go. And yeah, that's pretty much the game. The rest of this is pretty similar. It is pretty simple. You just throw Monster into the pit, and then you follow the bridge. But I'm going to show off a glitch, which I call Save Monster, which is what happens if you try to use Monster's belly to climb the bridge without throwing Monster into the pit. I think it's a pretty funny glitch, and I think it'll be an appropriate way to finish off this tutorial. So we're going to get onto his belly. We're going to try and jump. Oh no! Oh no! I crashed the game. Oh dearie me. However did that happen? But yeah, that's what happens. That's a trick called Save Monster that you can show off to all of your friends. And with that, I will take a couple of questions from the chat. Someone is asking, can you use a controller to play the game, and would it affect time in any way? The benefits to using a controller versus keyboard and mouse, each one has unique advantages and disadvantages that sort of, in the end, cancel each other out. Yes, this game does support controllers, and in fact, the entire point is actually this was a PSN exclusive to begin with, so it was designed for a controller to begin with, and yeah, that is pretty much what I have to say about that. Yes, there's a decent benefit to playing the game with a controller. It was designed for that to begin with, but it's just a personal preference for me to use keyboard and mouse. And yeah, so on that note, having shown off one of the only crashes that is still left from the PlayStation 3 version of the game, I think this is as good a time as any to say goodbye, and thank you so much for watching this tutorial. It's been a blast putting it together, and I will see you guys next time.